but let's go ahead now. And I want to thank everyone for coming. And Jennifer, I guess we'll start with you. Um, you're doing such amazing work with your new company, and wanted to just ask you, just in a general sense, about diversity and inclusion in the tech world, and how you came from Google, and a little bit of history about how you ended up in this exciting world of Hedera.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So it's we've been at this startup for over, I mean, it's our fourth year now, so it's not completely new.
Oh,
So what had happened, the origin story is that I had moved from Chicago to Central Valley, California. And my daughters and I, we started, visiting all these cute little towns here, and there would be signs up in these towns saying, you can drink the water, but you might get cancer.
oh
So
my goodness.
yeah, yeah. So most of these towns, they're mostly brown. They're like 98% brown. All these little towns where all the farmers that grow our food live and work. And
Mm.
it's around the time Bitcoin went up to 20,000. So at the same time, I was also kind of getting immersed into DLT and trying to figure out if I wanted to pivot my career in that world. And it all like came together that I truly believed that DLT can fix this gap in water infrastructure that exists especially for these marginalized communities. So we invented this device over 4 years ago. But my background is in marketing. So I've been in marketing for over 20 years. Fun fact about me, especially to Mr. Charles, I did marketing for Linden Labs a long, long, long time ago. So I know your space very well. Um, and so the first few years of our startup, I was still helping my marketing clients. So we were kind of bootstrapping and funding the company by marketing and also creating custom software marketing solutions for our clients. And then what happened last year? So this is January 2020. I was put in our area's first ever Google for Startups accelerator.
Yeah, that's
And
really exciting, and the startup accelerator.
yeah, so it was, so I took that opportunity to just decide, you know what, we're going to focus on this water project we've been working on for years, and we're going to actually bring it to market. So we did that. During the accelerator, we had an advisor who advised us to go work with some HVAC companies and to bring our solution to them because they had a need and we could solve that need. And then the pandemic happened right in the middle of the program. So we were all sent home and we all kind of finished the program from home. And it really didn't end up the way a normal accelerator would have ended up. We didn't have a pitch day. We were all the companies, there was about 9 companies in the accelerator. So we were all towards the end of it just trying to create revenue streams. So and we're still in the middle of the pandemic. We had a pilot all ready to go. We were in the Hedera Boost program. Everything was wonderful. And then the pandemic just kept going and we were just delayed by a year. So our first pilot will actually be installed next month. So that's very exciting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's in exact, I walked away from HVAC a little bit because that's not why I invented this product. I invented it to help specifically these brown communities that it's not even that they don't have money to fix their water. Oftentimes, these communities, their grant applications are accepted to fix whatever need they have, just that money is stuck in Sacramento. So there's just a lot of problems going on in these communities, and we feel like we could definitely help these communities. And then during the pandemic, it made it even worse because oftentimes the water in these areas would be completely shut down. So these frontline workers picking the fruit you and I eat, they couldn't wash their hands. And then bottles of water would also be sold out in the stores. And so it just made this problem even worse during the pandemic. So we were able to kind of just circle back to really why we invented this in the first place. So fast forward
do
to
you think that,
recently. Oh,
do
I'm
you
sorry,
think
go ahead.
that Governor Newsom is doing with the $1 billion for water and is going to be helpful?
I hope so. I mean, that $1 billion, he did commit a big portion of it to particularly this area. And so we're trying to work with the senator of this area's office to try to help them, I guess, show people how there's a dire need there. But I don't know, because like I said before, there is money. There's always been money. It's just been stuck in Sacramento. So I'm actually very, as much as I appreciate this bill, I'm also very pessimistic about it, because we don't need all of that money to go to LA or San Francisco or even Monterey. They can afford their stuff, but we need to be able to take care of these people who have literally taken care of us this entire time. So that's just something as a company we're trying to articulate with our politicians, and we're trying. I mean, that's all we could do at this point.
Yeah. And Azeem, you made it. Thank you for coming to the spaces.
I did. I hope you
If
can
you
hear me.
unmute.
My desktop wasn't working, so I'm on my phone now. So I think I'm in.
Yeah, they haven't figured out desktop totally. Well, Jennifer, let me just hold off on any other questions for you right now, and let me introduce Azeem to the group. Azeem Malik is with Hedera, right, Azeem?
That's correct. I'm the VP of Global Business Development for Hedera.
Oh, that's great. And I was wondering if you could speak to us a little bit about, I'm sorry, I'm getting feedback, about how disruptive Hedera is going to be in the world of enterprise software and enterprise networking. And is it akin to like being a total disruptor as the .com era was?
Yeah, I think it's going to be not just disruptive to enterprise software or enterprise networking. I think we're entering a completely new computing paradigm, and we're seeing it every day with centralized computing models shifting to decentralized computing models. So, whereas the .com era, in the decades since the 2 or so decades revolutionized the way we share information, right? It made all of us content creators with the ability to send each other, create and send each other and share information. It took power out of the hands of the entities, if you will, that were the information gatekeepers, and you've seen that play out, in every single industry, including media. But as Mark Andreessen said famously, that the original sin of the internet was that you couldn't actually transact value online, that payment wasn't embedded into the browser because you couldn't prove scarcity, or you couldn't prevent double spend. You could send the same JPEG 1,000 times to 1,000 people, but you couldn't send the same dollar. Or I guess you could, but you couldn't prevent that dollar from being provably scarce. So this paradigm shift to distributed networks does now allow us to prove scarcity, allows us to prove digital ownership and the provenance of that digital ownership, and not on one person's computer or one entity's computer or one entity's data center, but on many different computers that are in sync, and those ledgers are getting updated at scale, where you no longer have to trust any centralized parties. So it's the mutualization of this infrastructure, I like to call it, just knocking down these different silos that allows you, just like the internet democratized data and information sharing, now you have the ability to do the same thing with provable scarce value And that allows you to create completely new economies, completely new marketplaces, and completely new industries, just like the internet did. I always like to go back to, there's this clip on YouTube from 1995 where Bill Gates is on the David Letterman show. And David Letterman is like, hey, so tell me about this internet thing. And he says, hey, Bill, on the internet, I saw that they announced that they're going to be able to broadcast a baseball game. And Bill says, yeah, you can do that on the internet. And David Letterman says, well, does radio ring a bell? I can do that on the radio. And Bill Gates was like, no, well, hold on. You can listen to the game wherever you want or whenever you want. And then David Letterman said, oh, so it's stored somewhere. And Bill Gates said, yeah. And David Letterman says, do tape recorders ring a bell? So I think we're at this period right now where the real value of this is still, even for people that have been working on this for years, including myself, the real value of this is still not clear to anyone. Just how valuable, just how important these distributed protocols are going to become. And I think in a future not too distant from now, we are going to be looking back at the days of, oh my God, I put my most sensitive information in some other company's, data environment. I put a credit card number onto the internet and send it out. I mean, that we're going to look back and think, how could it have not been this way the whole time? And I think right now we're just at a very kind of unique, interesting moment in time. Hedera specifically, our approach, and I think for the people listening that know the project, and for those that don't, our approach has been that, if you look at a lot of the projects in the space and you listen to the prominent voices and you play out their visions for the future, there doesn't seem to be in many visions a future for enterprises as we know them. And in some cases, even governments, right? So we said, we believe in Web 3.0. We're entering this new paradigm, but look at all the capital and the IP and the labor and the distribution capabilities, right, in the physical world and the data. Let's leverage that. Let's leverage enterprises that can deliver that. Let's bring them together on a council and let's collectively define what the enterprise of the future looks like in Web 3.0. But we're going to do so with certain non-negotiable requirements that are going to be table stakes for Web 3.0. And these are going to be privacy and self-sovereignty and censorship resistance and giving users control over their own data and the value that they create. This original sin created, we're going to fix that, if you will. And I think companies get that. And even the large successful companies from Web 2.0 get that the paradigm is shifting and everyone has to adapt. You take enterprise-grade governance, we just happen to have enterprise-grade technology with Hashgraph and Hedera being the public implementation of that, with our performance capabilities, security, the stability of the network. I think from a technical and from a governance standpoint, I see us very well positioned to play a significant role in this new distributed computing paradigm.
Mm-hmm. Jennifer, did that have what Azeem was talking about in terms of governance and stability? Did that have a play in your deciding to build your business on Hedera?
Not necessarily. We this is the third DLT network that we've been a part of, and the reason there's two reasons why we looked at Hedera at the beginning of the last year. Number one is because we were in a Google for Startups accelerator. So when Google joined the council, we said, oh, we should probably look into this. And then number two, we have I have a very good friend who works at Gemini, and he researched networks all day. Like, that's his job. And so he also highly suggested we looked into Hedera. And so we did the application for Boost and we were accepted and really never looked back. This is by far the best network we've been a part of.
And what about you, Charles? Why did you your Endgame Studios is built on Hedera?
Yeah, so we are building on Hashgraph. Yeah, reason being, I was looking for a platform to build on for a long time, and it was just it started with Bitcoin for me, and I saw the potential for blockchain more than I saw the potential of, oh, the price is going to go up. And I wanted to leverage that, blockchain stuff. And the more and more I learned, the more and more I realized it's not possible. And only now that I found Hashgraph, I mean, are these things really possible that I want to do? Plain and simple.
Because you couldn't do what specific?
Yeah.
So you're saying that you tried to do it on blockchain technology, what, like Ethereum or something?
Right. Well, just there's really nothing. I mean, I'm sure there's some platform out there that I could maybe build on, and maybe it would be scalable enough, and maybe it would be secure enough, but there's nothing like Hashgraph. And with the use cases that I'm talking about, I'm going to need the full power of the Hashgraph. Because we're talking about gaming specifically as a TPS eater. So I'll think about games on Ethereum. They're pretty much crippled by Ethereum, gas fees. I've found a few really awesome games through the years that are built on Ethereum, and they're just completely bogged down by these gas fees. Like people have to pay $70, $150 to sell their $200 item. It's a mess, and
wow.
And there's no end in sight. They just delayed Ethereum 2.0 again. It's incredible.
Yeah, and in general, I think the issue with that technology is the miners. They have so much invested in equipment. I think it's going to bog them down for a long time.
Yeah.
But
I have no idea
do you
what
know?
happened there.
Yeah, Azeem, do you know of any other gamers that are using Hedera?
Yeah, we do. We just announced a partnership with Animoca Brands, which is a prominent gaming studio. They just, I think, became a unicorn, and are now a multi-billion-dollar company. They're going to be doing some very cool things on the network, including
Wow.
an NFT platform and a football game, and they've got a few licenses. And right now we've just got so much other stuff going on in gaming, and I would say just not in gaming, but more broadly. Some of these industries, specifically like sports leagues and media and entertainment, are getting into gaming, or what I would call, virtual economies, like metaverses, where the individual, can immerse themselves in a different experience, interact with different brands, and have digital property, ownership of NFTs and other things that individual or user can actually call their own. And so we see the blending of many different economies kind of in the quote unquote gaming space. So yeah, absolutely. It's one of the areas we're very much focused on. And we're seeing a lot of traction in the last few months when this has become, specifically NFTs have become very popular. We've been building out the infrastructure to be able to support, these different types of use cases. But we're talking to, sports leagues, some very, very high profile celebrities. So it's getting really exciting.
Oh, wow. This gaming is huge. And when you announced the what was that use case about coupons? That's a huge market too.
Yeah, the coupons is a huge market, and it's just the whole retail market is a huge market. So I've talked about the coupon use case. I love this one because it really demonstrates the value of the Hedera consensus service to keep the entire U.S. coupon ecosystem in sync. Today, it's completely fragmented. CPG brands like Procter & Gamble lose tens of millions of dollars on fraud. The fraud in this space is probably only rivaled by the fraud in ads, but it's still significant. People are like changing expiration dates and duplicating coupons. 97% of coupons are still paper, if you can believe that.
Wow.
And then the retailers,
Wow.
yeah, exactly. And the retailers, I mean, imagine a retailer accepting the coupon at the point of sale, putting that coupon in the drawer, in the cash drawer, or if it's a digital coupon, there's a printout of a paper thing that gets put in a digital drawer. Every day that drawer is emptied, and the coupon is counted as cash, and then in bags, it's literally sent physically to different locations where it's manually reconciled, right? And then at the end of the day, after the manual reconciliation, somebody like a Procter and Gamble has an outstanding balance to this Target store and that Walmart store and that Kroger store. It's just really, it's silly. So the industry came together and said, let's do something about this. Let's create one repository for all of the different coupon lifecycle events. And through this new nonprofit called the Coupon Bureau, who started working with us because we were the only network that could provide that data integrity layer for that level of throughput. We're talking something, I think the 2019 number is 250 billion transactions per year for that, for coupons per year, sorry. And each coupon is associated with, at least a registration lifecycle event, but other lifecycle events, potentially like a redemption. And today the redemption rate is like 3%. So imagine all the waste there. So that's just the tip. That's just the tip of the iceberg when you think about auditability and keeping a network in sync. Because ultimately coupons, just like loyalty points, just like rewards points, just like rebates or smart incentives, they're all just payments. It's all value exchange from one party to another. Happens in different ways, but that's what it is. And so if you can actually, like I referred to before, knock down those silos and mutualize a lot of that infrastructure. I like to tell the example that last year I didn't take a Delta flight for the last 9 months of the year, right after COVID. Why couldn't I have used those Delta miles to pay for things I needed at Walmart? So once you knock down those silos and you unlock all that value by tokenizing it, you're able to literally just create new economies. You're able to get brands to work together to create co-branded, loyalty tokens. And so we're working with partners that kind of can help us on the digital back-end side of the retail payments house, essentially acting as a digital clearinghouse. We're talking to the payments companies, the large card networks, and the big pay wallets to be able to redeem this new alternative method of payment at the point of sale. And so through kind of tying this whole ecosystem together, what started off as just keeping coupons, in sync, can potentially, just given what our network can handle and the different enterprise relationships, turn into a much bigger opportunity for payments around retail. So that's another area that we're all very excited about.
But how do your old colleagues from your banking days view the centralized business model being overtaken by decentralized networking?
Yeah.
I mean, like the gold guys versus the crypto guys.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, a lot of the people that were in the banking industry when I was in it 15 years ago are no longer there. And the ones that are still there are, not having fun. I think there are some financial institutions that are like really far ahead of others in thinking about this space, but there are many, way too many, that are just kind of like waiting for something to happen. And so we're already seeing disintermediation in payments, and the entities that are most likely to be disintermediated are, the smart ones are getting in front of that, right? And trying to kind of figure out business models where they can remain relevant, right? And remain leaders. And the ones that aren't are gonna regret that. And the same thing is happening with banks. I mean, traditional financial services, as we all know, is literally happening on distributed ledgers without a middleman. So the banks that a year ago were like, hey, we don't want to have to do anything with this crypto thing, are now just like, all right, let's start talking about stuff and what's going on and how can we play here and what can we do? So it's been encouraging, but it's not going to stop there. I mean, it's really industry by industry, right? We're seeing these dominoes fall. So it's payments, it's financial services, it's going to be insurance tomorrow. It's going to be it's going to affect almost every industry. So it's going to be exciting next few years for sure.
It's truly a unique and special moment in time, I think, that we're all experiencing, looking back on this in, I don't know, it's 5 years. It'll be just like now everybody knows about it, and everyone's working on the Hedera network, and hbars are flying around the universe. It'll be great. You're doing some kind of token, aren't you, Charlie?
Yeah, well, that's in the future. Right now, we're just developing the kind of first product that people will be able to use. I need to figure out. I want to. I'm also kind of talking with Resolute. I'm wondering, if we should make a token and if we should make, because I'm planning on making a couple games. So we have to figure out the tokenomics and everything like that, and complicated stuff. So.
Yeah, no, none of it's that easy. Oh, Jennifer, I was going to ask you about your network, but you're on a listener now. So let's just, if anyone that's listening would like to ask our speakers a question, please just raise your hand and I'll add you as a speaker so you can ask questions about our topics that we've been talking about. But in terms of your experience, Azeem, with like Watson and IBM and the healthcare industry, also you have in common with Jennifer. What was it like working on Watson versus working with Hedera?
That's interesting. So I think Watson was a good lesson. It was a great team that was assembled there, that's gone on to do some really cool things both inside and outside of IBM. And IBM made a significant investment in Watson that I think ultimately will pay off in the long term. But one of the lessons from Watson that really helped me as I transitioned to IBM blockchain and then digital asset and Hedera is you can't be a solution looking for a problem, and you can't, and like how many times have we heard that in blockchain, right? And because AI is hard, you can't just create technology and then go and say, okay, I'm going to take it to 50 different industries. You've really got to understand those industries. You've got to feed those models, and you can't go 6 inches deep in 100 places. You've got to go 600 feet deep in one place. Place by place. So I think AI is obviously going to be revolutionary. Watson is, to my understanding, still a significant player there. But certainly, I think the lessons that Watson helped us at IBM with blockchain.
Mm-hmm. And, well, Jennifer, I was going to ask you also about just your initiative and the water with regard to the healthcare industry that I read about how you're cleansing the water of nitrates in buildings.
So we're working on a solution for nitrates. So what actually happened with that during the pandemic, we were seeing these farmers who were unable to wash their hands, and when we spoke to the water operators in those towns.
You mean water so bad they couldn't wash their hands with it?
No, because the water would be shut down because it was that poisonous.
Oh my
goodness. Yeah,
okay.
so what we did is we went to the water operators and we asked them what is the problem? What can we help you with? And due to this area being very agricultural and livestock, there's naturally a high level of nitrates in the water, and nitrates are very harmful to humans. So oftentimes water is just shut off. Currently, and particularly in our first pilot city, the advisory is that children should not be drinking the water. They should not even be using the water to brush their teeth. So what we did during the last bit of the pandemic, nitrate monitoring. So we're not cleaning the water. We don't know how to do that yet. But what we did was we added that function to our system. Because right now the way they test for nitrates is they send samples of water to the lab every week, but they don't get their results for 2 weeks. So with our system, they know exactly what's going on with the water every 5 seconds. So if there is a level of nitrates that goes beyond a certain point, a text or an email or both goes to the operator and tells them to shut it down or to look into the problem, figure things out. So it's a faster resolution to something that's really bad that's happening right now.
Very, very shocking. That's just from 5 minutes instead of 2 weeks for people's water. That's awesome. I applaud you.
Thank you.
It's so important. It blows my mind that we have this problem, and it's in this day and age that's been so underserved. I mean, it's water. California in general is not leading the way with our water conservation and capturing of water, and now the clean water. I mean, you hear about lead pipes, but we don't hear about nitrates in water. I mean, I never heard of that before I was reading about what you're doing, Jennifer.
Yeah, I mean it's not. There's a lot of areas that do agriculture and have livestock where it is a problem, but it's a particular problem here in the state, and we're the seventh largest economy in the world. But this particular area has been left out of funding, have been left out of policy, and hopefully with this comeback plan, everyone can be inclusive. So we're really trying just at a political level to help this area, because I mean, they're so far behind on so many things, and the water should be just a basic right for everyone. And then it's especially in California, it's extremely inequitable.
It's really shocking. I want to follow up with you on that, because whatever we can do to help, that just seems. Oh, let me ask you this, Aziz. Is there any council members that are in the eco space with water?
Hey, Jennifer, great job, by the way. That's so cool. Today, I don't know that anybody that I know of is doing anything in water, and maybe somebody can correct me on that. But overall, our initiatives around sustainability and really focusing on that area are really evolving and growing. And we announced, I believe, earlier this year that EDF, which is the largest producer of renewable energy and one of the 5 largest utilities in the world, based out of France, will be tokenizing things like renewable energy credits and working with companies that are going to be tokenizing carbon offsets. And this is very interesting to companies that are big buyers of offsets, because now it allows provenance into how the actual generation occurred, where it occurred. Today, that's completely done in a black box. So this is a relatively new industry, right? Like climate accounting, or the credits, but bringing it on DLT, I think, is really, really valuable. And not only do we have use cases just from the energy efficiency story. Power Transition put out a report about a month or 2 ago where it shows our energy usage versus other networks, and we're significantly less. I mean, Bitcoin is using, I think, as much as Norway, and Ethereum as much as Denmark, and I think Hedera is using as much as 7 U.S. households per year. So certainly an area we're interested in. And Jennifer, I'd love to sync up and see. I mean, if there council members or not, if there are any companies, doing anything in this space that maybe we can work with in a more direct way, I'd love to get any thoughts you have.
Well, that would be really great to. This has to be a broader knowledge in general, because water's like our lifeblood. So I really thank you so much, Jennifer, for. So if somebody wants to request, we have a barbarian who has a question. Go ahead and speak.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Illusion, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Just a question for Charles. Just what is your vision for EON NFT? I just wanted to understand a little bit more about it and how you see that working. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Good to hear your voice, by the way, man. Yeah, so the plan is to essentially kind of like Azeem was saying, metaverse type of. I want to make a digital world that is kind of like a free platform where people can come and they can make their own NFTs, and instead of just like being able to do something with them in a game or sell them or something like that, I want to give them actual uses in the game and make it VR compatible as well. So I'm talking like instruments, vehicles, someone standing in their NFT house that they made or bought from someone. The possibilities are kind of endless. Concerts, battles, and I essentially want to make a video game out of a bunch of NFTs or tokens like that, tokenized 3D model in-game assets.
Wow, that's quite a project there.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and we're currently I'm working with a company called Resolute or Resolute. I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but they are making it for me. We have a prototype done, and we're working on getting the first product out. So should be fun. It's going to definitely take a lot of work, but essentially there's a platform called VR Chat, which is kind of one of the things that inspired me with this project. Basically, it's like, kind of what I'm saying. People can make their own assets and make their own levels and invite all their friends and have a little mini concert in there, right? Just as an example. But none of it's tokenized. There's a huge opportunity there. And, I also want to make it into an actual, like, give the game some structure. I've been a gamer most of my life. And so, I want to actually have like a, players. My company is going to make things like dungeons and, go kill a boss with your friends, adventures, events and stuff like that, making, content for the game. So that's, I think I got it all.
That sounds awesome. Well, we're nearing the end of our talk, but I wanted to just say, if you have a question, just request to speak. And then I'd just like to give everyone, Jennifer and Charles and Azeem, a chance to, say the final words. So Jennifer, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Yes, last night actually, Wes Weisenberger from Hedera, I'm in a new accelerator. It's specifically for clean and sustainability technology. And Wes did a talk on Hedera. He introduced Hedera to some of my classmates, and it went really well. I think a lot of them are interested. I think especially in this sustainability, clean tech space, there's a lot of money going into it. And it's, if anyone's thinking of building on Hedera. If anyone's thinking of starting a startup, that's probably a good way to go, because there is funding, there's a lot of opportunity, and it's just good timing. Like I never have good timing when it comes to business, and I think this is actually the very first time I'm ahead of the curve. So I know a lot of people are rethinking what they're going to do after this pandemic is all over, and we need to take care of our planet. So I'm hoping sustainability tech is something people would consider.
Oh, that's. I think we've all had a chance to reevaluate during this past year, and health and the planet are like being underserved, and we have to fix that right away.
Yeah, there's a
The
time
sooner
limit in a lot of states. There's a time limit for companies to be up to date with their sustainability protocols. So there's actually a time limit
Wow.
now. Yeah.
Wow.
Chop
Well,
chop.
good space.
Let's go.
We'll make sure that spreads the word in the Hedera community for sure. Well, Azeem, would you like to say some final words?
Yeah, I completely second everything that Jennifer just said. That's certainly an area we're focused on, and we all live on this wonderful, wonderful, beautiful planet, and want it to be around forever. And then not just around some of the largest challenges facing humanity, but also on the transformation of so many industries. I'd urge people to get involved and learn more, and reach out to me directly. DM me. My DMs are open. I just really got on Twitter a few months ago, so I'm still trying to I'm still getting comfortable with it. But reach out. There's a lot going on with the network. I talk a lot about the enterprise governance stuff, but it's really the fact that we want to build a network that people want and can trust, that it's going to be stewarded in the right direction, right? And then it's not governed by a set of folks that that you don't know or don't have brand values to protect. But really, we're going to spend a lot of resources over the coming months and years to grow the developer ecosystem, to create incentives for people to come to the network, to get the enterprises more engaged with specific initiatives. So feel free to reach out. I'd love to meet more of you, and I'd love to keep doing these. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, Charles,
I'll
go
go.
right ahead.
Okay, sorry.
I'm
Yeah, so for me, what really got my attention and what really amazed me, is a couple projects that are building on Hedera. I am really a concerned guy about the planet. I have been since high school, and seeing stuff like Hala, seeing stuff like Starling, seeing stuff like SEUN, this is the type of stuff that I love Hashgraph for. I mean, we are kind of stewarding. I mean, not saying I have no idea what will happen, but like we're kind of stewarding a new age where we can, I think, steward a new age of humanity with this technology. I mean, I see the potential as groundbreaking for so many problems that we have. And it just amazes me every day. I wake up every morning and I love to learn. It's just never ending, pretty much. So yeah, hbar to the moon, guys. Thanks for being here.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming, and it's been an awesome talk, and I really think we're in a unique and special moment here. And just really thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And best of luck on your project, and we'll follow up with you on advocating for more clean water solutions for sure. And Azeem, you're amazing, and your information was just food for thought, and I appreciate you coming on. And Charles, you're the man. So I want to thank everyone for coming, and we'll do this again next Thursday, every Thursday on Hello Future Buzz. So thanks a lot for coming.
Thanks for the
everyone.
invite.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.